this is Hedda. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk you through the books that I read in March and also show you the spreads that I made in my reading journal. I actually only read 2 books in March, but I'm really happy with my choices and also the spreads that I made. So I'm excited to show you. The background you see here is actually my hotel bed because I'm in Japan. I just barely arrived. I'm so excited to spend a few weeks here and I feel really inspired to create, and that brings me to the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning platform with thousands of fun and unique classes to help you elevate your hobbies and side hustles and career to new heights. There are classes on just about anything you can imagine when it comes to creativity, but also on like study techniques, time management, productivity, stuff like that that can help anyone in their career. A class that I'm currently taking is Maggie Stara's social media content creation in Canva from beginner to advanced, because I've been using Canva for my own Instagram for a very long time, but I didn't actually know that much about it and I was kind of just like figuring it out as I went and I didn't really know how it worked. So I figured that a class that kind of dives into the nitty-gritty of it would be really helpful for me. Canva is such a great tool for content creators, but also for anyone who has to make graphics or presentations or stuff like that in their job. Canva has already done so much of the work for you already. You just have to like put all the elements together. And learning new tools like this can be so helpful in any career, and I think it's really important to keep learning, to keep flexing your brain and challenging yourself. It's how we keep our minds sharp and our creativity flowing, you know? The first 1,000 people to click the link in the description box will get a 1-month free trial to Skillshare, so you can try it out yourself before committing to a full membership, and maybe I'll see you in Maggie Stara's class. Thank you again so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and now on to my reading journal. We are going to start with my cover page for March. My beautiful notebook is from Notebook Therapy. It's part of the Mori collection. You can get 10% off your order from Notebook Therapy with my code mochibujo10, just to put that out there. So in this video, I'm going to mention a few different small businesses, but one that I really want to highlight is Paper Minty Studio. And Paper Minty Studio's stickers are adorning my cover page for March in my reading journal. They are just really pretty, and I bought the March collection that they put out in February, and I just knew that I had to use it in my reading journal, so I decided to make my cover page all about the Paper Minty Studio collection. And then I'm mixing that with some stationery that I got in Japan the last time I was here, and I think the end result turned out really cute. It's all about like the nude tones with a bit of florals, and I'm really happy with the result. So here you just see me dump out lots of different ephemera and stickers, and I'm just kind of layering them, like figuring out where I want to put different things. And the centerpiece on the left side, which is kind of going to be the main cover page, is this rectangular ephemera, like piece of ephemera. It says "just be in the moment," and there is a painting of a girl on there. Paper Minty Studio used to have like a big selection of stickers in their shop, but now they have moved on to doing monthly kits instead. So every month they have an essentials kit and then a premium kit, and I got the premium kit because I really wanted the full experience. I probably won't be buying them every month because they are a bit pricey, but I mean you do get a lot of stuff. But the premium kit is like over $80, I think, especially when you consider shipping on top of that. But like I said, you do get a big selection of stickers and ephemera and washi tapes, so I'm really happy that I got this. I'll probably get some more kits in the future, but like I said, not every month. The March sticker that you see at the top of the left page is actually part of the Hedgehog Garden, like the spring collection from Paper Monogatari, another favorite small business of mine. I think it went really well with the theme rather than me hand lettering the title for the month, so I'm pretty happy with that. Other honorable mentions, the doily that I kind of layered underneath everything on the left page is from Notebook Therapy, part of their Hinoki starter kit, and some of the scrap paper that is on the right side is from Notebook Therapy's junk journal. I decided to use 2 of the square ephemera for the right page here where I'm going to write down the books that I read during March. I always do this. If this is the first time you're watching one of my reading journal videos, I really recommend you checking out my 2023 setup video and then maybe the January and February video as well, just to kind of get a feel for how I do things. But yeah, pretty much I am just making this cover page to kind of highlight the books that I read during this month, and then I'll have full spreads for each book after this. Usually I use a lot smaller frames for this, but because I only read 2 books, I had to fill the spread up somehow. So the square ephemera were actually perfect, and then I used lots of stickers from Paper Minty Studio to add more decoration. There's one sticker in particular that I really like, and that's the one that's kind of in the top right corner of the spread, because the girl has lots of books like on her head and on her knee, and it's just really cute, and I think it fits really well. I used my Zebra Sarasa vintage brown pen to create some sparkles, and I think that the brown looks really nice because it's all just like nudes and neutrals. And that's pretty much it for the cover page. I think one of my favorite things about having a reading journal is making these cover pages because I really enjoy it. So now we can move on to the first book that I read in March. The washi tape that I'm putting down here is from Paper Monogatari. I think it's part of their basic set. I really like it. It's just like text on a white background, but it's so easy to mix it with other washi tapes like I'm doing here. This washi tape is from Paper Minty Studio. The theme that I went for in this spread is cherry blossoms, because my April theme in my bullet journal is cherry blossoms, and I was just kind of on a roll with the cherry blossoms and I just wanted to do more of it. So yeah, that's what I'm going for in the spread. And the first book that I read in March is called I Don't Need Therapy and Other Lies I've Told Myself by Toni Lodge. And if you don't know Toni Lodge, she's an Australian comedian, I want to say, or like she has a podcast. I've been listening to her podcast for so long now. I think pretty much since it came out, or like a couple of months after they started it. And it's such a like comfort podcast for me. It's something that I put on when I just want to relax. I don't want to learn anything. I don't want to have to think too much. Just enjoy it. The podcast is just pure nonsense. It's so funny, and it's called Toni and Ryan, by the way. Very simple. I love both Toni and Ryan. They're so funny. And so Toni Lodge, she wrote her autobiography, I suppose. It's been a while since I read a book like this, but I have enjoyed it in the past, so I thought I would give it a go. Since Toni Lodge reads the audiobook herself, I decided to listen to the audiobook rather than buying the ebook, just because I really enjoy listening to her voice, and I thought maybe it would feel a bit like listening to the podcast, or like as an extension of the podcast. Now, I will say the book is very different from the podcast because it is very serious at times. Some trigger warnings are like bullying and death. Toni Lodge lost her mom at a very young age. I guess technically she was an adult, but she was very young. And one of my dear friends went through the same thing, and it's just really sad, and I feel very grateful that I haven't had to go through the same thing. And in a way, this book felt like an ode to her mom. There's a lot of like romanticizing her childhood and stories about her mom and things that they did together, and it was just really sweet. It was a very sweet book. I definitely wrote the subtitle of the book wrong because I wrote "And Other Lies I Tell Myself" instead of "Other Lies I've Told Myself." But yeah, that's just how it's gonna be in my reading journal now forever. Anyway, like I said, a really sweet book. I really enjoyed kind of learning more about who Toni is behind the persona that she puts forth on social media and on the podcast. And I thought it was like a very honest and raw book. Obviously, Toni is still very young. She is the exact same age as me. And so I can relate to a lot of things in this book, even though she grew up in Australia, which is like as far away from Norway as you can get, pretty much. But I think at the same time, we had a lot of similar experiences growing up. Although we have very different personalities, I'm definitely not as outgoing and bubbly as her, but I can definitely see myself in many of the stories that she wrote about in the book, and it was a very enjoyable read. I find it very hard to judge whether an autobiography is good or not, because I think that whether or not you enjoy it kind of depends on how you feel about the author, like who the book is about, because if you're interested in knowing more about that person, I think you're going to enjoy the book regardless. And so if you've never heard about Tony Lodge, then you probably wouldn't enjoy this book, if that makes sense. I think that also means that it would be easy to get disappointed from reading a book like this, because you have this image of someone in your head from what they have shown the world or chosen to show the world, and then you read a book that they've written that might be more serious or go more deeply into what makes them them, and maybe it's not what you had expected, or what, like, the image that you had in your head is wrong. So that's kind of why I find autobiographies interesting. Like I said before, I haven't really read that many in the past few years, but I did read a lot of books like this in like 2017, 2018. It was kind of my thing at the time. But all in all, I really enjoyed it, and I still love Tony Lodge so much, and I hope that she keeps writing, and I wish her all the best. And now let's move on to the second book that I read in March, which is very different from the first. First of all, I decided to go back to stickers and washi tape from Paper Minty Studio because I was definitely not over it, and I really wanted to use more of them because I had so much, you know, so I gotta use it. So I decided to go back to the same theme as the cover page, and you know, it fits. And the second book that I read in March was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Leigh Bardugo is the author behind Six of Crows and Shadow and Bone. You might remember those books from like the first monthly reading journal videos that I started making, because I was reading those books at the time. And this book actually came out a few years ago, but I hadn't read it and I didn't really know about it until I saw the second book in the series pop up in bookshops, because it came out this year. And then I realized that the first book of the series was on Kindle Unlimited, which means that it's kind of free. I mean, I'm paying for Kindle Unlimited, but there are lots of ebooks there that you can read for free as long as you're a member. And so I decided I would pick it up and try it. And I have to say, I have waited for a book like this for so long. This fulfilled like all of my criteria. There's like a morally gray main character, she's troubled. There's like dark academia, there's magic, and the magic system is so interesting. There's mystery, there's a murder mystery. There's just so many great things that come together in this book, and it's probably my favorite book that I've read so far this year, and I just really enjoyed it. I devoured this book. That reminds me that I really need to update my Goodreads account, because I don't think I've updated it since January, so there's a lot missing there. I'll put a link to my Goodreads account in the description box below, but I don't really post anything there. I don't write reviews. I just kind of update myself, and I have a little reading challenge for myself, and that's about it. But yeah, if you're interested, you can befriend me there. Once again, I have jumped into a fantasy series that is not complete yet, and it really annoys me. But yeah, now I'm in the middle of 3 or 4 different series that aren't completed, and it's a little bit annoying because now I have to wait so long, and in the meantime I'm just gonna fill that void with other fantasy series that aren't completed, and I'll just, you know, keep going that way. And yeah, it's frustrating. But I am really excited for the third book in this series because, spoiler alert, I've already read the second one. That will be included in my April reads video, which should come out either at the end of April or beginning of May. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because you will get alerted to any new videos that I post, as long as you turn on notifications at least. But yeah, I would definitely recommend this book. It's about a girl named Alex Stern, and she goes to Yale University, and there are secret societies and magic, and she's kind of been recruited by this overseeing house, the 9th house, and she has to oversee rituals and just like learn about the magic, and she has like a background as a drug addict, and she has so much trauma, and she can see ghosts. That's a huge detail that should not be forgotten. I don't even know how to express how much I enjoyed this book and how excited I am to continue the series, because it just gave me so much joy, and I was just glued to my Kindle the entire time. I just could not put it down. And it's such a great feeling when that happens, when you find a book that really speaks to you, and this was it for me. And I really enjoyed it. 10 out of 10, would definitely recommend. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the books that I read in March and for the spreads that I made in my reading journal. And now, of course, we're going to take a look at the spreads again, do a little final flip through. But of course, first I have to write down the books that I read on the cover page. So here you can see that I'm just writing down the title and the author in each of the squares. I was lucky that I Don't Need Therapy has such a long title, because it kind of fills up the square and it doesn't feel like there's too much room, even though 2 books doesn't really need to take up an entire spread, but you know, here we are. I really like the spreads that I made this month. These were all made on the same day. I had to crank out these spreads fairly quickly because I was going on a vacation with my parents. They came to Hawaii. It was wonderful. And then right after that, I was going to go to Japan. So I didn't really have the luxury of being able to record them slowly over time like I normally would with my reading journal. But hopefully my April video will have a few different locations, maybe in Tokyo, we'll see. I really hope that you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I love this theme. Definitely check out Paper Minty Studio and Paper Monogatari and my own sticker shop. I didn't really mention this, but I used some of my own stickers on the spread for Tony Lodge's book, so if you want to check that out, there's a link in the description box. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today. I really appreciate it, and thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video and for supporting my channel. I hope that you're all having a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!